So, for the sake of good conversation, let's talk about what type of end-of-world rifle would work for you. This is something that's I've seen discussed before on YouTube and on gun forums, and it's just kind of a fun subject. So, just kind of talking about it. Figured I'd make a video, spark some good conversation. And what I mean by end of the world, I have to define that. I don't necessarily mean like zombies or anything like that. What I mean is for example, the movie Greenland. If you've seen that movie or if you've seen parts and pieces of it, which I've just seen parts and pieces of it on YouTube and such, I do know the end of the movie, the big meteor comes down and pretty much wipes out the Earth. People are still able to survive underground and whatnot, but the Earth is pretty much wiped out. You see scenes, there's like nothing green left and everything's in rubble and all that good stuff. So, if you imagine that in your head, you venture back out into the world and you see everything's changed, and now you have to survive. So there's tons of different topics that I guess the prepper community can talk about on that, but I just want to talk about, okay, so now you have to survive. What would be a good rifle to have out of your inventory slung on your back to assist with you surviving and protecting yourself while you take on that huge endeavor in a kind of ruined planet? But anyway, a couple things I was thinking about it and it just kind of came to mind. I said, okay, so in that type of deal, then you can't rely on replacing your technology. So the technology that you have with you is going to have an expiration date pretty much. And what I mean by that is any rifle that has flashlights or lasers or battery powered red dots or anything like that, they all have an expiration date, because once those batteries run out, unless you have like a rechargeable battery, maybe you have a little solar portable recharge station or whatnot, the stuff's going to run out. Some might last longer than others, but eventually the item's going to become useless. So what can you have to as far as a setup to mitigate that? So here's a couple AR-15s. It doesn't have to be AR-15s. It could be whatever. Bolt action rifles, lever guns, doesn't matter. But this is just kind of a neat, fun thought exercise. So if I'm going to step out into this world where there's no technology, nothing, what would I have? So I'll put this aside for a second. I'll talk about this one here in a second. But this right here, and it's kind of funny, I kind of have this thing outfitted the way I kind of want it in a situation like that. No need to change anything. It's very simple. And I think that's kind of the key thing. It's very, very simple. There's no unneeded stuff. The optic doesn't require batteries or anything like that. And it's a very rugged optic. Now, the argument can be made, well, just go with irons. And I totally agree with that. And that's why I'm going to talk about my other rifle that I have here in this video here shortly. But for a magnified optic, a 4X fixed power magnified optic, very simple. Everybody knows these ACOGs are damn near indestructible, it seems. And this is just a simple TA01 NSN. It's not a fancy ACOG, just a simple 4x32. And it works really well. It does have a tritium insert, which the tritium insert will die over a long period of time, but that's fine. I don't need the tritium insert at all. I still have the standard reticle. It's perfectly fine, so I can continue to go there. Now, I don't have any lights or lasers on this because I know the mindset these days are, yeah, you want to have a light and all that good stuff for self-defense, and I totally get that. Target ID, all that stuff, that's very important. But in a scenario what I'm talking about, end of the world, everything's gone, you don't necessarily need a light, at least not attached to your rifle. You will learn to adapt and move about without one. Darkness will become your friend. I mean, it's been done. It's been done for eons before we started to carry torches and before we developed lamps and handheld flashlights and this and that and the other thing. So this right here, it's very simple. It's easy to take down, easy to maintain, easy to have some spare parts for longevity. As long as you have a good quality bolt carrier, good quality parts, which this one does have, it's going to last for a really long time. As far as doodads like vertical grips and stuff, that's up to you. I have a little Strike Industries hand stop on this thing. That's about it. But it's a very simple rifle. You see right there, very, very simple, to the point. So I'm going to move this out of the way, and then we're going to go with this thing. This is more of a budget AR-15. You've seen it before. Very simple, and it's a very common type setup. You see it a lot. This is a Bear Creek Arsenal. You see a lot of Bear Creeks out there. I'm going to move the camera just a little bit so you can see just a little bit better. But anyway, so this rifle does have a light on it. So the light does have an expiration date. Sooner or later, those batteries are going to go out, and I'm going to have a useless piece of kit hanging off the rifle. With that said, if that happens, if the light becomes damaged or it just goes out over time, what have you, I could just take it off. And I still have a perfectly good rifle. The iron sights on this, very well made. One thing I will say, if you're going to go iron sights and you're talking about, okay, end of the world type stuff, you want fixed iron sights. I wouldn't want the folding. And that's because the fixed are just a little bit stronger. The best type of iron sights, I think, for an AR-15 is the actual front sight post with an A2 style rear, A1, A2 style, or even a removable carry handle sight. Very robust. They're not going to go anywhere, no issues. These are very well made, and it's made it up to a good free-floated rail, so I don't have to worry about accuracy too much. That's one thing you want to make sure. And a lot of people don't think about this. You can have a very well-made front sight, but if it's on a crappy rail that it just isn't mounted well, or it's just, a little bit off or something, it's not going to do you any good. So make sure your foundation is strong. This is a Bear Creek rail that's on here. It's a total Bear Creek Arsenal setup, so it is budget, but it is well made, and I went through myself and I did the little things that I do, like putting Loctite and all that stuff on them and making sure everything's torqued to spec. That's just me. That's personally what I do. So everything I know on this rifle is solid. So, yeah, you can certainly run a light. You can certainly run an optic that has a battery on it. But just keep in mind, if we're talking about this type of scenario, all that stuff is going to have an expiration date. Don't know what that expiration date is. But at some point, if it doesn't get broken, it's going to fade out on you. And then you have to have something as backup. Now, the one upgrade that I can do for this rifle right here is, and I've thought about it, I haven't really messed with it yet, but is putting a good quick detach mount here, and then doing something like a really small, low-profile front and rear folding sight. So that way I have folding sights that are here, and they're just folded and out of the way, but I can take that off and then flip these up, or take it off, flip this up, move it back, do whatever I got to do. Then I'll have irons. That's a thought as a backup. Because I know some of you are probably thinking, well, the ACOG's great, but, it's an optic, it can fail too. And that is absolutely correct. So anyway, just a little thought exercise, just some thought on, what you could do. Now, as far as the internals go, a rifle like this, it's easy to pack an extra bolt carrier. It's easy to pack some extra strings, extra firing pin, extra extractors, in case you blow an extractor, stuff like that. The rifle is really modular in the way that magazine sizes, I can have the 30 rounders, or if I want something just a little bit more compact, for some reason, I can drop to the 20s. That takes a little bit of mass off of it. If that's what you want to do, it's up to you. But in any case, it's a very modular rifle. And because of that, you can really outfit it to your needs. So anyway, that's enough yakking out of me for this particular video. Hope you didn't find it too boring. Just a thought experiment, just to think, okay, what can I do? The basic thing is you just want to make the rifle simple and effective. Think not just months down the road, but years down the road. Will the rifle still work with minimal maintenance? Now, I couldn't throw just a wrench in the works here and say, well, One rifle that I would really be tempted to take along with me with one of these, instead of having a nice fancy semi-automatic, which is great for self-defense, I could take along something like a Mosin Nagant. I have an M38 carbine in there that is just in beautiful condition, and the thing is like a tank. I also have an M9130 carbine that's in really good condition, and it's a tank as well. So as long as I got the ammo for those will be great. I think those things will survive past the end of the world. But anyway, put your comments in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And be safe out there.